all the directors should be completely off the tools when you're at that mark. Just focus purely on strategy, vision, and then you've got that team in place. It's all about team and leveraging your time. And so when you hit those plateaus, it's about who do we need to hire strategically to free up our time so that we can keep growing again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Ignite podcast. My name is Josh Stone. I'm the founder of Ignite Coaching, where I work specifically with business owners of engineering consultancies to help them simplify and then grow and scale their businesses to that next level, whether it's getting to that 1 million mark, to 3 million, to 5 million, to 10 or beyond. We've got proven strategies and pathways to help you get to that next level. So, team, today I want to talk to you about the stages of business growth. This is something that I've been wanting to kind of record for a while and talk about the different stages of growth that I sort of see all businesses go through, so that you can be firstly aware of the fact that there are stages to growth of a business. Two, to stop beating yourself up when you're actually in one of those plateaus or in those phases of slower growth, and we'll talk about why that happens in a second. But really, three, so you can be aware of it, so you can start to plan for it and know that it's coming and know that it's totally normal. I ran a workshop for an amazing business earlier this year it was a shareholders workshop talking about all the things that are happening in their business. And we ran a very similar training to this on the different stages of growth within the business. And the feedback was that it was such an eye-opener for the shareholders in the business, because they didn't realize that they had really good growth over a period of time, and they had just assumed that growth would continue. And it definitely can continue if you're aware of when you're going to go through some of these plateaus and kind of plan for them. But the feedback was that it was a massive eye-opener for them, because they weren't aware that these plateaus were going to come. And if in fact they were in one of those plateaus at the moment, it just made them feel better about where they were in terms of, well, we're in a bit of a plateau, we're in a different phase of growth. And the exciting thing is that when you come out of those plateaus, then there's that next phase of growth that you can look forward to. So what I want to kind of walk through today is really, it's an awareness piece, and talk to you about some of the different revenue levels that I see these plateaus occurring at and why. And then hopefully out of today's episode, you can start to sort of plan for them. And so fundamentally what I'm talking about here is, when I talk about the different phases of growth, what tends to happen is you go through a sustained period of growth in your business. So maybe it's a 20 or 30% year on year revenue profit kind of growth. And then you feel like stuff just you feel like things are moving really, really well. And then you're hiring team, you're getting more work, your revenue's increasing. And then you just feel like stuff, you start to go through a bit of, kind of quicksand. Things start to get a bit harder, and you start to meet resistance, and feels like, the business becomes a bit sluggish. And so that is completely normal. All businesses go through these different phases of growth. It's very, very common to go through a period of sustained 20 or 30% growth, or like some of my clients, 50% growth, which is just crazy. I know the market's hot at the moment, but anyway, you've got sustained growth and you're on top of the world. Like, this is great. And yes, there's growing pains, and yes, there's like all the frustrations that come with growth. It comes, team recruitment, clients, like all the things that we're so used to. But then what happens is business owners get to this plateau, and they're like, what's wrong? Like, am I doing something wrong? Have I stuffed something up? And they start to beat their head against the wall and start to beat themselves up, and get super frustrated that they're not experiencing that same level of growth that they were. Completely normal. Completely normal. And so what today's episode is about normalizing that, what to look out for, and also to know that out of a plateau comes more growth. So I tend to work with businesses in between that sort of startup phase through to 10 to sort of 15 million a year in revenue. And so what I sort of see is there's a couple of plateaus that I see quite regularly. One's at sort of the million mark, The next is roughly at the 5 million mark, and the next is roughly at the 10 million mark. And I'll explain why in a second. So if you think about, and I don't know where you're up to on your journey, but as a single business owner, you're going through the motions. Actually, sorry, there is actually another plateau that I see happening with single business owners is hiring their first staff member, because they're going from often like fee for service to contracting themselves out to bigger companies or bigger contractors or bigger corporates. And often it's them and their names on the contract, so they can't grow because they're the one doing all the work. And what I say to all of my clients who are single business owners is you need to hire your first person as soon as you possibly can. And that doesn't need to necessarily be in the technical space, because I know that's hard at the moment. But hire your first person to show yourself that you can hire and train someone to help you build your business. And so a lot of my single business owner clients at the moment are, getting some online support, whether it's a virtual assistant or some admin support into their business. Because if you think about, and I've gone off on a tangent here and I will come back to where I started. If you think about as a single business owner, all the stuff that you do, usually anywhere between 30 to 50% of your week is admin tasks, is administration stuff. It's checking emails, it's fielding calls, it's writing proposals. It's like you are doing literally everything in your business. And as soon as you get to a revenue point, like most single business owners tap out at about the 40 to 50K a month mark. That's kind of where it's like you physically cannot bill any more hours in the day or in the week. And it's roughly you tap out about the 40 to 50K mark per month. I said to all my clients, get some admin support, train someone, whether it's a virtual assistant or it's an admin support, like it's a working mum or a mum or a dad who just wants to work school hours or something like that. Get some admin support into your business and get all the things off your plate that you are doing from a admin point of view. Get someone else to do it. I've just finished recording an episode on the lost opportunity cost of time. You doing all the admin stuff is a terrible use of your time. So as soon as you're at a revenue point that allows it, get some admin support into your business. So that's kind of the first kind of plateau I see is single business owners hiring that first person, because you need to be ruthless with your time and to free up your time. The next plateau I see is about the million mark. So if you think about your journey, wherever you're up to, getting to that million mark, you've roughly got sort of 6 to 8 employees in the business. And again, you have all the hats on. You are doing everything in the business. And there is so much research to back up what I'm about to say, but really the most direct reports you can have before your leadership becomes woeful is about 6. And so you think about it, you've got 6 people all directly reporting to you from a technical point of view, plus you're trying to do admin, finance, the books, you're trying to like marketing, sales, you're doing everything. And so the first plateau comes at about the 1 million mark for most business owners, where you've got all of these people reporting to you and you don't know what to do with your time. And so to move through that phase, I encourage clients to split up teams or assign team leaders. So maybe you've got 2 teams in your business or 3 teams in your business. Then all of a sudden, all you've got is 2 direct reports. And then the team leaders look after the rest of the people within their team. Hire a bookkeeper, hire all the stuff I've just talked about with single business owners. You want to get that support in your business too. So the first plateau occurs about the million mark. The next plateau, and then you come through that million mark, you get your team structure right, you're getting some part-time support with sales, marketing, admin, that sort of stuff, and you start to free up your time and you start to grow again. The next kind of plateau I see happens about the 5 million mark. So you're roughly a team or a business of, let's call it 30, and you've got your teams in place, but then think about it, like a team of 30, that's kind of 5 or 6 teams of 5 people. Again, you're starting to hit that threshold of all of these direct reports reporting to you, starting to bog you down. And you're getting to that size where you really do need to start to think properly about outsourced systems and processes and getting some external support through accounting, bookkeeping, all those sorts of things into your business. And so what I say to businesses about that 5 million mark they're looking to plateau is, or that are going through that plateau, you really need a general manager. You need someone in your business that is the circuit breaker between yourself as a business owner or the board of directors, whether it's, there might be 2 of you, there might be 4 of you. You need that circuit breaker between yourself at a board level or decision-making level and the technical team doing the work. And no doubt you're still involved in some of the projects and doing the technical work, and that's totally fine. But let's get a general manager in, or an operations manager, or someone like that, to be that circuit breaker, to be responsible for the day-to-day running of the business, to again free you up. So that's kind of the next plateau, is about that 5 million mark. Then we hit the 10 million mark, where you're roughly 60 staff or thereabouts, and that's when that the governance starts to come in. You really need and actually, sorry, I think something I didn't mention the whole way through is servers, systems, processes. These are all the things that slow down our business growth too, and so we need to be investing in systems and processes and software and all those sorts of things to help our business continue to grow. Because one of the biggest roadblocks I see is when you hit those plateaus, it's because you don't have a big enough server in place. You don't have enough cloud storage. You don't have a software that supports the size of the team that you're getting to. So these are all the things that kind of mean that you're going from an upward trajectory to that plateau of growth, where you need to heavily invest in systems, processes, general manager that's not chargeable, more overheads come into the business before you can then reach that critical mass and keep building and keep growing. So the 10 million mark is roughly then where you start to see you really need that external support. So for the business to keep growing at that 10 million mark, the directors need to be largely off the tools. They need to be focused on strategy, vision, direction, growth, that next merger, that next acquisition, like what's coming next from a client relationship point of view. All the directors should be completely off the tools when you're at that mark. Just focus purely on strategy, vision, and then you've got that team in place. It's all about team and leveraging your time. And so when you hit those plateaus, it's about who do we need to hire strategically to free up our time so that we can keep growing again. So they're kind of the rough plateaus that I see happening quite regularly. I want you to think about your business and sort of what you're going through and what's coming up. And then can you start to plan for that kind of next plateau? There are things that you can put in place, and systems and processes is a super easy one. Like, are there things that you can put in place that mean that you're less required to be involved from a technical point of view, or you're less required to be involved in here? Like, the more that you can free you up to focus on vision, strategy, where you're going, all those sorts of things, the more the business is going to keep growing and grow quickly through those plateaus. So there are definitely those different stages of business growth. If you're in one of them, do not beat yourself up. It's completely normal. You will come through it. But I just want you to start to think about it, assess where the business is up to, and what you can kind of do to make sure that you go through those plateaus as quickly as possible. So team, I could talk about this all day. I think this is a super fascinating kind of thing, kind of concept. If you'd like some help, if you want to kind of talk through where your business is up to, maybe you're stuck, maybe you're plateauing, not sure, definitely reach out. Let's have a chat, see if I can help you build your business and move through that plateau even quicker. All right, team, that's it for me today. Have an amazing day.